Today, I want to talk about something that I did this week. I was hanging onto the back bumper of the 117 Express across town and hopped off at the Museum of Natural History. It ain't exactly the best spot for lunch because people tend to chuck their garbage in bins rather than in whatever corner it will fit, but I like being there anyway. Sneaking in is a bit of a trick, but my favorite exhibits are the dinosaurs. I love me some big, stompy thunder lizards. I especially love that I ain't required to dodge those when I'm out getting a meal, but I also like them because they're pure imagination fuel. What was these lives like? Would they have had their own little weekly YouTube videos? Who knows? Scientists probably, but I's not a scientist. I'm a rat who wants to imagine dinosaurs with cameras taking selfies. I especially love watching you human children see dinosaurs for the first time. They stand there with big smiles on their faces, scared and excited to see a thing what ain't walked this world for millions of years. When one of them animatronic ones opens up its mouth and roars, that's even better. First time I saw it, I scampered under a fake bush. You've built these amazing places where you can go and see a tiny chunk of the world from before me and mine even evolved. But there's a whole bunch of people who don't see the value in that. They's always looking for places to cut funding from things to put more money into the pockets of whoever is paying for their next election campaign or their next yacht. They ain't thinking about the future. You want to point to something and say, this is the greatness of my society, you point to those museums. What I love most about museums isn't just the displays. It's what I know is behind them, and underneath them, and in the attics of them. Museums ain't just a place to stick pretty things. Museums do research, but to do that, you gotta have a whole heap of stuff to look at. They just pick the best looking bits to show you, but museums, darn near every one, got their archives. That's where they stash stuff. So much stuff you wouldn't believe. Paintings and rocks and little cave people tools what is too broken to identify. A million bones what never got all lined up with other bones to make a nice skeleton for the public. They's never going to have the chance to go through all of it because there's just not enough money or enough people what is able to get the time or resources to go figure out where it all came from. But maybe there ought to be. Maybe the best stuff yous could do with society ain't buying yachts for guys what smoke cigars and burn down rainforests, but instead it could be them museums. Probably use libraries too. Libraries are about as close to an objective good as anything what has ever been come up with. There's free information out there making the lives of everyone what uses them a tiny squeak better because people want to live in a world where other people know stuff. The more every person in your world knows real, authentic, useful things, the more the whole species becomes better at everything. If the internet has enabled one real bad thing, it's poisoning that idea with lies for political reasons. That's why you gotta defend things like Wikipedia. It's maybe the greatest human thing you ever built, and it's absolutely essential it survives because it's the biggest museum and the biggest library whatever existed. You want to measure the goodness of a society, maybe take a look at what they stick in these museums. Is it a bunch of stuff what they stole from other countries? Is it a bunch of lies to make some fat old king feel better about himself? Or is it the product of millions of people having time and energy to create and examine and figure out about stuff? If you've got the chance, head down to a local museum. I guarantee a better time than anything what newspaper headlines gives you. And if you can, toss a bit at Wikipedia. They's doing the work that really matters. Anyway, this is Gus, and these are my thoughts from the gutter. If you like these thoughts, like and subscribe.